All right, so here's my plan. I have a fan-made Pokemon game that I want to play, Pokemon Reborn. And one of the things I want to do in the game is I want to completely randomize the type chart so that, you know, the things that are normally the strongest are not necessarily so. It's kind of like a gigantic logic puzzle going through the game and trying to figure out how do things interact with each other. To do that, I need to figure out how all of the different attacks could possibly hit each of the defenders, and there are 18 different defending types and 18 different attack types. In the randomizer, it from what I can tell, it seems to prefer giving things resistances and immunities over neutral relationships or super effective ones. So there's a lot of things that are taking half damage or no damage. And logically, it's very difficult for me in the moment to come to a conclusion when I hit an immunity. If I see something is super effective, I know that it has to be that both types have to either be weak or neutral to the attack move. I know that neither of them have a resistance to it and that neither of them have an immunity. If I hit a dual type and I get a neutral relationship, I know that either they're both neutral or one is weak to and the other is resistant to, and that neither of them have an immunity. If I hit a weakness, if I hit a resistance, I know that neither of them have a weakness, that one of them is neutral and the other is resistant, or both are resistant, and that neither has an immunity. But if I hit an immunity, I don't really learn that much in the moment. I know that at least one of them has to be immune, but to go to the normal game for a moment, if you have a water ground type, electric normally deals super effective damage to water, but ground is immune to electric. So when you do 2 times 0, the result that you get is 0. And the result is that the water ground Pokemon takes 0 damage, even though normally a water type would take double. So if you attack something with an immunity, you don't learn anything about the other type. You just know that one of them is vulnerable. Or that one of them is invulnerable, excuse me. And that's part of the problem I have, is figuring out the logic behind keeping track of things that are immune. To accomplish this, I made this big ol' list. Notably, I did not go the full mileage of keeping track of all 171 something possible defender types. I think there's 153 dual types and 18 solo types. So I did not do that. I just have the 324 different individual things to fill out the chart. In this second list over here, to kind of piece through the logic, I would like to program this column, these 4 columns, to take information from this sheet as I fill it out and play through the game and see different attack interactions, to automatically parse through this part of the logic so that I'm not playing the world's worst game of Clue, which will then feed into these 4 columns, which will then feed into the chart. And the goal is that by the end, the chart has more or less filled itself out as I go through the game. The issue that I have is that beyond doing these 4 columns manually as I get the information, I don't think I have enough familiarity with Google Sheets and I can't to figure out the logic in the moment. I'm trying to break it down and make a simpler case, which is what this little bit of work on this third sheet is. It's me trying to be okay. Well, what can we logically figure out regarding this? Is there it determines something, but I don't know how to tell it to look through every single cell, look through this column. If you find something that has this attack move and this defender type, right? So I want this row, these four cells have to somehow have something that reacts to this combination, and then make a determination based on this result. So here I have a resist, so I need this cell to change to 1, and this cell to change to 1. Simply because of that one result. I needed to say if there is any result that looks like that has resist at the end, those two cells need to black out. I think the immune column is, this fourth column is probably going to be if there is any cell that has that and does not say immune. This would say resist. Sorry, no, this one. This one. If there is any cell that says resist, then this one would be if there's one that says super. I don't know but the issue, I don't know how to make it loop through that. I tried poking my head into the world of app scripts, or maybe it's app sheet, which seems to be like the programming code section, but the interface was a little bit more complicated at first than I was expecting. It's not something, it can require a little bit more poking around for me. I think I can do it, but I don't want to. If I don't have to program this myself, if I don't have to do all of this work myself, and there's a tool out there that accomplishes all of this for me, I would like to use that. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I don't have an infinite amount of time, and I don't want to have to make something new if I don't have to. If I need to, I will. I think this is an interesting puzzle, but if it's already solved, I don't want to waste the time doing that. That is my goal. That is everything I think I need to be said. Uh, I also don't know if I like some of the choices I made for highlighting some of these. I think, fighting. I don't know if I did a good choice. Maybe this should be yellow. What's a good? Do I make fire yellow text and red fill, and then this would be red text and black fill instead? I don't know. Um, that's an easier thing to fix, but I need to figure out how to loop through these columns and find a match, because right, I needed to make that same determination, even if it's like these two rows need to both make that same interaction, and then I need to somehow take that code and have it apply based on these two, right? So it matches. Um, and I do not know of an easy command to do that. I know that there's VLOOKUP and regex, those kinds of things exist. I'm struggling to wrap my head around how best to use them, because they don't seem to. It looks to me like they're going for the first result. And I don't need it to look for the first result. of a single match, I needed to make sure that both columns match. That the thing in this A column is in this A column, and that the thing in this B column is in either B or C. And then from that, if both of those have happened, check the result in D, and then these cells will evaluate themselves accordingly. That's it. That's my pitch, my problem for you, the viewer, or myself in the future. I don't know. Thank you for listening to me ramble for 10 minutes about something that requires way more effort than it deserves, and you're welcome.